Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. This is Kristen Fagan here with SoftFlex Company live for our next guest presentation here during Customer Appreciation Week. We have the wonderful and talented Elena from Mirrix Looms joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be doing this today.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited too. I feel like this project, I was just telling Elena before we got started that I have never done any loom work. So I've been really excited about this particular presentation and getting to know more about Mirrix Looms and seeing what we're going to make today.
Oh, I can't wait. This is going to convince you.
This is going to convince me.
Yeah. Bead weaver after this.
And I'm really, in addition to beading, I always love all of tapestry work and seeing lots of threads and stuff too. So I can see how, this can be quite an addictive hobby that spans lots of different crafts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like you would be perfect for, in fact, like this bracelet that I'm wearing, this is tapestry and beads combined. So you can do both of those things.
Perfect. Oh, combine the loves. I love it. I love it. So for those of us that are brand new to any kind of loom work and have never heard of Mirrix Looms before, why don't you tell us a little bit about your company?
Okay. So Mirrix Looms was actually started 26 years ago by my mom, Claudia Chase. At the time, she was a professional tapestry weaver, and she had 2 young kids at home, me being one of them. And she worked on really large tapestry floor looms that were in our living room. And we were getting to the ages where, we were starting to have soccer practices and play rehearsals and gymnastics meets. And she really wanted a loom that was portable, but that you could make professional quality work on. And she had a very specific list of, things that she wanted in this loom, and it didn't exist. And so she went to actually my best friend at the time's dad, who worked for a company that made fire trucks. And he had this barn with all these tools and old fire truck parts and stuff like that. And she went to him and they created the first Mirrix loom together. That was just for her. She just wanted this loom for her own needs. And then my dad was like, everybody's going to want this. You should sell this. And she was like, I just wanted a loom for myself. I didn't want to start a business.
Right.
But somehow he convinced her. And she was like, all right, we'll make like 20 of these looms. I think it was 20. And she gave them to somebody who was at this weaving conference to demonstrate on. And at the time, we were moving from Wisconsin to New Hampshire. So it was my parents, my brother, 2 dogs, 2 cats, a guinea pig, this like caravan across the country before cell phones. So my mom has these looms made, sends them off. We start on this trek across the country that took like 5 days or something.
Wow. That's an amazing feat just in itself.
Seriously. I remember it as such a fun time, but I'm sure it was very stressful for my parents.
Right.
So we get to the house, the new house, and my mom plugs in the phone because again, before the time of cell phones, and the phone rings immediately and someone calls up and says, hi, I'm looking to buy one of these looms that I saw at this conference. My mom was like, oh, well, we have 20 for sale there. She said, no, they're all sold out.
Oh.
And my mom was like, what? So that was kind of the beginning. Like she was like, I guess other people
really do want this. Yeah.
Want this product.
20 was a very good number to start out to say, you know what, if we make 20 and we sell a couple and people are not into it, like it is what it is. But to have them go like that, it's also a good number to make it feel, oh, well, that was, that's a lot to sell 20 looms, right out of the gate with nobody knowing them or seeing them before.
Right. And
wow.
So like, well, this is, I guess we have to do this now. So that's kind of how the company started right after that.
Whoa. And how big was that loom? Because I know you said she had a large one and she basically started a company because she wanted something more portable, right?
I think the very first one was 10 inches wide, which is actually not a loom size that we have now. We have an 8-inch one and a 12-inch one. But yeah, I think it was either 10 inches or 12 inches wide. So small enough that it can fit in your lap.
Right.
That at the time she was like, I want a loom I can take on an airplane. But now I don't know if you can take a loom on an airplane.
Oh yeah, they'd probably look at it and be like, "We don't know what this is. We're not sure how to handle that."
Clobber somebody with it.
Yeah. Because speaking of that, you have a very sturdy, well-crafted loom, so it's probably a good heft to it.
It is, yeah. I mean, they're not very heavy, but our looms, I'll move my camera just to show you an example of one. They're made of copper and aluminum. And the reason is because with metal, you get really, really great tension. And that's super important. Our looms have on-loom tensioning devices, which means you can put the warp on the loom and then you can tighten the loom up, so you can tighten up that warp at any point.
Oh, so now I'm totally a novice. So speaking of that, right? Like in other cases, you might have to tighten it as you're wrapping. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So if you just have a frame and you're warp, just a picture frame kind of thing to warp, you have to make sure that your tension is not only even, but it's tight as you're doing that wrapping. And it's really very difficult to get it tight enough. So with our looms, you don't have to warp it tight. You just have to make sure, it's even as you're warping it. And then you can tighten it, and then you can say, maybe I want it a little looser. Maybe I want it a little bit tighter. You can kind of adjust as you go.
That's really nice, because in the other case, if you made it really tight and all of a sudden you want to loosen it, you have to start over again and make a looser tension. And so like that would be me. I'd be like, nope, got to do it again. Oh, now it's too loose. Now it's too tight. So that being able to hand adjust after the fact, before you get started, but after you put your cording or whatever you're using on there, it sounds like it would be really ideal.
Yeah, it's really nice. And you do find yourself, adjusting as you go.
You can adjust as you go too. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Not even the beginning. You might get to a point and say, I've had this too tight. I want to loosen it up a little bit. Our looms also have something called continuous warping, which we're not going to use for this project. But what it does is it allows you to weave a piece that's longer than the height of your loom. So the warp is actually wrapped around the loom. And when you've woven up as far as you want on the front, you can actually loosen the tension and move the piece around the back of the loom, so you have more warp on the front. So that's another case where being able to loosen and tighten the tension is really important.
Very cool. So, and speaking of jewelry work, I don't know how long you'd have to get it, but I was picturing like a handbag strap or something, or like in what cases would you need like something super long?
Yeah, I mean, so basically you can do almost twice the height of a loom in terms of length. So if you have a loom that is set for 12 inches high, you can make a piece, about 20 inches long on that. And we have lots of different loom sizes, ranging from 5 inches wide to, we now have a 48-inch wide loom that I don't even remember how long a piece that can make, but very, very long. And we have things called loom extenders too that you can add on to one of the smaller looms. So if you do,
oh my gosh, so that if you don't need the width, but you need the height, you can add on the extender.
And that's perfect for bead weaving for like guitar straps or belts.
Yep. Perfect.
Or bands or something like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so many things. I love it. So we've got a few people chiming in here. We've got Lisa, who says that she absolutely loves her Mirrix. The ability to adjust the tension so easily is fantastic. Thanks, Lisa. It's good to hear that. I saw somebody else say that they have, oh, Lynn is here. She says she has 2 Mirrix Looms, a small one and the 16-inch. Fabulous. How many sizes do you have?
Okay, so we used to have 7 sizes. But we've put some new ones into the lineup. So we have a 5-inch, an 8-inch, a 12-inch, and then we have a tall 12-inch now, a 16-inch, a tall 16-inch, a 22-inch, a 28-inch, a 32-inch, a 38-inch, and a 48-inch. So we have 11 loom sizes now.
Well, when we were here last year, did you have 11 loom sizes? I don't think you did.
We added 3 in the last year.
Wow. So what makes you decide to add a new size? Is it just people asking? Is it that you come across a project that needs a different size and you go for it?
Almost all of our innovation comes from a customer or one of us needing something. So
that's the way to do it.
And I mean, you know, it's solving problems, right? It's saying, you know, if this one person needs it, probably other people do too. And you know, we were the 48-inch loom, which is our newest loom, which was, you know, a very big, you know, the difference between 38 inches wide and 48 inches wide is huge.
It's quite big, yeah.
And people had been asking for years, you know, I want a loom that's basically like a floor loom, but that you can fold the legs up and throw it under your bed, you know, because I don't live somewhere where I can have a floor loom, which is like that's the case for me. You know, I don't have anywhere in my house where I could fit.
So traditionally floor looms, once they're open and they have to stay open, there's no way to kind of compress them down and put them somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, a little, yes, but that would be a big undertaking.
A big ask, yeah.
Yeah, so all of our looms are portable in this. I mean, most of them are very portable, but even the 48-inch loom is portable in the sense that you can fold in the little legs and you can, you know, push it down. And
that makes a huge difference. Yeah, space is important. So that definitely makes a huge difference. Okay, so Thomas is sharing, which we talked about this before we went live, that you can get, if you don't have a Mirrix Loom or you need one of the 11 sizes, maybe you have one and you need one of the other sizes, they have this special coupon they created for all of you here at SoftFlex. So 20% off any Mirrix Loom for a first-time customer who watched the live tutorial. Use code SoftFlex, all capitals, all one word, at checkout. And you can find that from that page link there, which is mirrixlooms.com /pages/SoftFlex. Very cool. That is quite a discount, actually, I believe.
Yeah, that is, I don't think we've ever had a discount more than 20%. That's like our Black Friday biggest sale of the year kind of
discount.
So this is very big.
Oh my gosh. So how long are you guys keeping that open for people to use? What's the expiration date?
I think it's next Wednesday.
So 1 week. You got it.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, what is next Wednesday? Let me look, because if they're watching this after, it's September 21st would be the expiration of 2022. Just in case you're watching this, you know, way years in the future. Well, thank you for that. That's really cool and such a generous gift for all of you guys watching. And now let's take a look at your loom. So let's take a look at this baby. Which one are you working with today?
Well, okay, so this is this is going to be kind of a cooking show-esque tutorial, because you probably don't want to sit here for like 6 hours as I we follow a pattern to weave beads and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to put something called the No Warp Ends kit on the loom, and I'm going to show you on a 12-inch loom. Which is this loom right here. And then behind that is an 8-inch loom, which is what I'm going to actually show you the weaving on. Oh, there we go.
Let me go ahead and make you a little bit larger there. Awesome.
So should I tell you a little bit about the bracelet before I can...
Yeah. And this project, do you have any more kits available for this project?
We do. Yeah, we did. We didn't think we were going to have to do a restock, but we ended up doing a restock. So we have kits available now.
Wonderful. So you can find that right at mirrixlooms.com, and you can go grab your kit, or you can find it if you go to softflexcompany.com and click on the Customer Appreciation Week link. You will also have a link directly to the kit there on that webpage. So yeah, I'm excited to see. Tell us a little bit more about this project today.
So this is the Pink Lily wire and bead bracelet. It has SoftFlex as the warp, which is really fun because it gives it a little bit of shape. So you can kind of see, like, when you have a bracelet that's just, I mean, you obviously know this, but when you have a bracelet that's just
thread, yeah,
thread, it doesn't hold its shape as well, and so
no, it falls into itself a little bit.
Yeah, this holds, and I just think it's so
really pretty.
I love working with SoftFlex.
The colors are so lovely. You did such a great job on that color pattern.
Thank you. And I have to say, my mom, the one who started the company, helped me a lot with the color stuff. I was having one of those, I didn't have the right beads. I don't know if that ever happens to you, where you want colors and you don't have them, and then you're like trying to order online, but you're like, I'm not sure if I want that one or that one. So I FaceTimed her. I was like, I don't know what to do. All right, I have all the beads in the world.
Whatever you need, I have it. Oh, your mom sounds like the best.
My mom is the best. It's, I was trying to think of this today, but I think I've been working with her for like 11 years maybe.
Wow.
And it's just, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to work.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, this was, the color was actually inspired. My daughter, who is going to be 2 in like 2 weeks, I can't believe this. Her name's Lily. And when she was born, a friend of mine sent me these lily bulbs, these pink lily bulbs. And I was in like I just had a newborn stupor. And I remember going outside in my pajamas, and it was like raining out, and I was like, I have to plant these lily bulbs. And I'm like on my phone trying to figure out like what kind of sunlight a lily bulb needs. And I'm like covered in dirt and like leaking because I'm nursing, just like a mess.
But it had to get done. I know.
Planted lily bulbs and then forgot about them. And then in the spring, these gorgeous pink lilies that were like these green and pink, very close to these colors, emerged in my yard. And I was like, oh my God, like these are just absolutely gorgeous. And so that was the inspiration.
What a lovely surprise, because I would totally be the same way, like completely forget about it until they just come up one day and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I did that, even though it was a hot mess at the time.
And like, and it worked. They came up. Like, I do not have a green thumb. So I was sure that they were,
I don't either. I've got some sunflower seeds on my windowsill in my kitchen right now, and I've been watering them. And they've been there for about a little over a month. And I was just asking yesterday, like, at what point should I start seeing something happening? I'm not sure if this is working right. So I'm going to have to Google that later and find out, like, the timing. I have no concept of that at all.
So yeah, same. So yeah, so the fun thing about this bracelet and about our looms and using SoftFlex is generally using wire on a loom is difficult because there are a lot of ends that you need to finish, and weaving in the ends of wire into a piece is pretty challenging. So we have something called the No Warp Ends kit, which I'm going to show you how to put on a loom now. And what that is it's an accessory that you can add to the loom, and it allows you to weave a piece where instead of wrapping around the loom, so you weave a piece and you have lots of warp ends once you cut it off, you have these little loops that go around S-hooks, and you only have 2 ends that you need to finish. So
that's very helpful.
It's very helpful. And it's great for, weaving with thread too, because it makes finishing super, super easy. I mean, basically you just weave, You take the piece off the loom, you weave in 2 warp ends, and then, you know, put clasps on or do whatever you need to do. So, but it's also, it's basically necessary for weaving a piece with a wire warp.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, I mean, I guess my mom, I don't remember. I must not have been working at Mirrix when it was invented. I guess my mom invented it, but it's a wonderful, fun kit. Every time I use it, I'm like, I need to do this more often.
She's got a little genius gene in her, your mother, for all of the inventions she's come up with.
Sometimes I feel like people think I'm like being insincere with like how much I love and admire her, but like,
oh no, that's really sweet. And I did work with my parents for a short period of time when I was a teenager. My parents owned a bagel store, and it would not have lasted 11 years. I would not have been able to work with them for that long. I love my parents dearly, but yeah, it was not always the easiest working with my parents.
I think the key was that she never asked me to work for her. She was like,
probably.
I'm going to let her do her own thing and, you know, find her way in the world. And then, you know, one day I came to her and I was like, hey, like, you know, we work really well together.
Maybe I can work with you.
And she was like, crying and was like,
oh,
I've been waiting your whole life for you to say that.
Oh, no, that's really nice because, you know, you do have to come to it on your own terms, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I really think it does. I have to remember that with my own daughter. Not gonna push her. But Lily, so, watching this in 18 years, I want you to work with me.
Yeah, I want you to work with me, but no pressure. No pressure.
You didn't hear me say that.
Kim is asking, Elena, what thread will you be using as the weft?
So we will be using Ceylon size D. This is made by Caravan Beads in Maine, and we love Ceylon so much. It doesn't fray. It's just wonderful for bead weaving. It's pretty much exclusively what we use, but you can pretty much use any beading thread.
All right, cool.
Yeah. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my computer so we can see this. I was telling Kristen earlier that one of the problems with looms and video is you always seem to be at a weird angle when you're trying to do this. So excuse any awkward movements here. So you can see this loom right here has these 2 pieces of cord that I have draped over the top. This is Teslov cord, and it has these little, I don't know if you can see, but it has these little holes like every couple centimeters. And what we're going to do is we drape those cords over the loom, and then we're going to take a stainless steel bar that's part of the no warp ends kit. Stainless steel because you really need something that's strong, and you're going to put it through 2 of those holes so they're kind of even like that. And then you're going to take your cord and you're going to wrap it around the loom. So it's gone over the top and then over the back and up the front of the loom again. So it's just wrapped around. And then you're going to attach that with another hole into that cord right there. So basically we've just wrapped the cord right around the loom. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now, what's important to do is just make sure that it's even here. And because you can adjust the tension on the looms, you can adjust your tension a little bit. You do that by turning the wing nuts counterclockwise to increase the tension. So here we have our little bar. And if anything seems confusing when you're watching the video, we have a PDF that goes through every detail of this project. So if I miss anything or you're confused about anything, the PDF will have everything laid out for you. So we have our top bar. And then what we're going to do is we're going to figure out exactly how long our piece needs to be. Now, this will depend for this project on how big your wrist is. So when you look in the PDF, we're going to ask you to measure your wrist and add 1.5 inches, I believe, which will account for the length of the S hooks, which are going to be put on this kit, and that's what your warp is going to be on. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just showing you a sample of how this works. So I'm not going to actually measure, but let's pretend that I did. We're going to put the next bar, again, through that same piece of cord. These are just ends, so don't worry about those. And you want to make sure, I don't know if you can see here, but this is a little bit crooked. You want to make sure that the hole, that you've put them even, the bars evenly in holes. You don't want it to be crooked on either bar. So we have that. Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So is there anything particularly special about this cord? Does it come with the loom? Is it something you could just pick up easily?
You can, it's a cord that's commonly used in weaving for different things. The company that makes it is the same company that makes a lot of heddles. They make the heddles for our loom and they make a lot of other heddles. But this whole kit here is called the No Warp Ends kit, and that is available on our website. So it comes with the cord and the bars and the S hooks and instructions on how to put that.
I see. So if you're not trying to do a no warp design, then you don't actually need the cords. But in this case, we do need them because we do want a no warp design for this. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is an extra accessory that you can get for the loom. Okay. So you have these bars on here. We can tighten your tension just a little bit. You don't want it so loose that this is sliding or anything like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put S hooks on the top bar and on the bottom bar. And we're going to tie onto one S hook on the top and then go zigzag to the bottom one. Then there will be another S hook here, and we just keep zigzagging through the S hooks, and that's how we're going to work the loom. So it's very easy to do. Usually what I do is I put on the top bar how many S hooks I need for this particular piece. I'm going to do it one at a time right now, just because it's hard to do it at this angle. And when I was practicing, I kept knocking everything off. So we're going to do these one at a time. For this piece, you'll have 8 S hooks on the top and 7 on the bottom. But again, I am just doing a little sample here to show you how it works. So I'll just do a few, and I'm actually just going to use a piece of yarn. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. For the first S hook, I've already done this because I cannot tie a knot on screen without having to do it 3 times because I'm the worst knot tier in the world. So I've just done a slip knot on the first S hook. A slip knot is important, especially when using wire, because you're going to want to untie this when you're done, because you're going to weave both of your ends back into the piece. And once you've tied a knot in SoftFlex, it's hard to get that undone. So I'm going to start just like that, hook that S hook on. I have my warp right here. Then I'm going to put an S hook on down here. And I'm going to loop around. And then I'm just going to start zigzagging. So I put another S hook here, just like that. You can see how my warp is starting to show. So now you can see that, these are the vertical warp threads, and your beads are going to be behind and between each of these warp threads. So you actually need one more warp thread than the number of beads that you will be weaving across. So just like that. Okay. kind of get an idea of how this works. Now, like we were talking about before, one of the nice things about this loom is that you can adjust the tension. So you want this to be tight enough as you're warping that, you know, your warp's not falling off as you're doing it. But what we can do is we can increase the tension later on. So you don't have to worry about making this super tight. So this is actually as long as I've made this. And then on my last S hook, I'm actually going to weave a partial or tie with a partial slip knot. We explain exactly how to do this in the PDF. I call this a horse knot because it's kind of like the knot that you use to tie up a horse, where if you pull on one side, it tightens it, and if you pull on the other side, it loosens it. Where you kind of leave a, see, why am I so bad at tying knots? Hold on.
I've never heard of a horse knot before, but
I mean, I made that up. It's that it's not actually called that. Let's see if I can. Sorry, this.
So is it? Do you ride horses? Is that something you're?
Yeah, not anymore.
Oh.
But I grew up with horses. Yeah.
That is so lovely.
Gosh, everything is falling apart.
It's because you're on camera. It's just the way it goes.
The angle is super, super hard when it's kind of facing away from you, but I am going to get this done. When I was practicing, I was like, oh, just don't let it fall apart on me.
Because I would say that's what happens. I could do something all the time one way, and then I'm on camera, and it just doesn't work.
Here, I'm just gonna cheat by putting that right through there. Okay, so there we go. And you know, the nice thing here, I'm gonna trim this. The nice thing, if you don't tie a super great knot, is you can go through and adjust the tension kind of like this, just to make sure your tension's even. And then, and this is the part of this that I think is really brilliant, you remove the outside part of this cord. And now you can actually adjust the tension on the piece. So now I'm adjusting the tension and I'm tightening the tension right here on the kit. So now this is super tight. You see that?
That was amazing. That was so great. That was one of those like mic drop moments.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I used a kit like this, and I was like, wow, that's brilliant. So yeah, so now you're using the loom and the tensioning device on the loom as it's meant to be used, but you have the benefit of these S hooks, which will make the finishing part of your weaving easier.
Super cool. And that one you said was the 12-inch loom. Is that correct?
This is a 12-inch little guy loom. Yeah. This is actually my favorite loom size. You can make a piece 9 inches wide on it, and I think 36 inches long. So you can make a decent size bead weaving or tapestry, but it's small enough that it can fit on your lap.
Yeah, it looks like a really cute size.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of weaving in bed and on the couch. To me,
that sounds very relaxing and meditative to be able to weave when you're in a comfortable place, right?
Yeah, you have like a movie on and you're just...
Melissa says, thank you. You made it look so easy.
Except for the knot tying part, but that's actually not a hard part at all.
Oh, and Wanda says it's so cool to spend a whole week with SoftFlex and awesome designers. Yeah, it is really cool. We love, Customer Appreciation Week was sort of something that we started last year, and we just really love the ability to spend all this time with everyone and have all of these wonderful, fabulous guest designers here. It's just a blast.
It must be so much work for you to put this all together. And like, it's such, I participated last year too. And it really is. It's such a wonderful event. There's so much wonderful energy and just the designs are amazing. It's just, I'm so impressed.
Thank you. Oh, Jacqueline is wondering if we could see some finished pieces. Maybe you can hold up the
made on our looms. I actually have, I don't know if you remember this, but I did sometime last year, I did a little project with SoftFlex.
I remember that. Yes.
This is a wrap bracelet with little stones, and it's actually, I don't know how much you can see. There's SoftFlex.
Oh, it's beautiful.
This is like one of my favorite bracelets.
I could see that could be something that you just wear all the time, and it looks like it wraps around quite a few times.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Super cool.
That's
I
really
love
cool.
that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm just throwing up your coupon just one more time. Thomas is sharing it again. 20% off any Mirrix Loom for the first-time customers who watch our live tutorial. Use this code at checkout, SoftFlex. And then Lou is saying that I don't use the no warp ends often, but I've come up with a way to not have the hooks fall off. I put the hooks on and then use blue painter's tape to hold them in place.
That is a great idea, especially if you are a bad knot tire.
Like I would be. Yeah.
We bought a ton of blue painter's tape recently because we took a first flight with my daughter, and people kept saying, you know, toddlers love just like blue painter's tape, just sticking it on the, you know,
on things, and it doesn't really. Oh, I've never thought of that before.
It didn't work at all.
It worked for someone somewhere, but didn't work for Lily.
Other people say it's great. She was like, she took a piece off and she balled it up and she said, "Mama, no."
She probably didn't like the stickiness. I could see some kids not liking that feeling. Mary is asking, how heavy is the loom, and do you usually put it on your lap?
It depends. You know, all of our looms, except for our tiniest. I forgot we have another loom. We have 12 looms. We have the Saffron Pocket Loom, which is I didn't even count how many looms we have. For the looms, the smaller looms, the 12-inch and smaller, it totally depends on my mood. They have these legs. I'll just show you on this one that fold in and out. So if you want to put it on your lap, you can fold the legs in, put it on your lap, and if you want to put it on a table, you can fold it out. So, you know, I switch back and forth. It depends on the project. It's yes, yeah, I think the 12-inch loom is not even 6 pounds. I see Claudia. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Mom's here.
Well, no, I'm really embarrassed. You suck.
I know.
Bragging about you. Yeah, and the looms are much lighter than you think they are, because they're aluminum. So that's, you know, you think of a metal loom, you think it's going to be heavy.
Yeah, the aluminum makes a difference for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So now in my, you know, cooking show-esque, well, actually, before I go over to the other loom, this is the pattern for the bracelet. It was made on Beadographer, which is bead pattern software. And there's a link to this in the PDF. I was telling Kristen earlier that my printer's broken. I actually had to go to the UPS store to get this printed. And when I was weaving one of the samples, I was doing the PDF looking at the PDF on my phone, the bead pattern, which was good in terms of I wasn't tempted to like check my email while I was weaving beads. But I think I like a printed pattern better. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about reading a bead pattern. So this is the first page. This is the bead list. And it has a symbol, so A, B, C, or D, because there are only 4 bead colors in this particular piece, and a description of what the bead is on that first page. And then there's a little a little color picture. And then you follow the pattern from the top to the bottom. So what I do is I actually set up my beads in order of that bead list. So I have A, B, C, and D. And then you just pick up those beads in order for each row. I like to do something like take another piece of paper and put that, you know, on the row that you're on so you can keep track of the row. I find following a bead pattern actually really fun and kind of a nice way to meditate a little bit, because you're concentrating, especially on a pattern like this that is a little bit complex in which beads you're picking up. Your mind is kind of concentrating on that, and it just sort of allows you to relax and focus on what you're doing. I don't know.
Yeah, you get to kind of let go. You're not having to make any decisions in the process.
Yeah.
You've made the decisions on the pattern, and then you can just kind of follow along. And that tip of putting another piece of paper there is wonderful, because it's really hard on your eyes, I think, to try and look at the pattern all at once. And by sectioning it out, you can keep yourself on track.
Yeah, it's very, that was the trouble I was having when I was doing it on my phone, is I was like, okay, which row am I on? Can I see that? But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. A lot of people will, you know, take a black marker and cross out a row once they've woven it.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah.
But if you want to have your pattern for future that isn't marked up, then the piece of paper would be the better way to go in that way. And you get all of that in the PDF file, right? So they'll have the pattern and all of the details on how to put that together.
Yes. And if anybody wants, I don't know if anybody has Beadographer software, but if anybody wants the code for the pattern, we can give that to them. And you can actually, yes. Oh, yes. There is, somebody asked if there's a word chart. Yes. So I forgot to get to that. There's also a word chart. So if you don't want to follow the picture pattern, you can say 1D, so one of the D beads, 1C, one of the C beads, you know, that's how many you pick up. So that's another option to do that. But yeah, if people do want that code, they can go in, put in the code, and actually get the bead pattern that we made, and you can edit it if you want. So if you wanted to take the same bracelet and make it in different colors, you could actually change out the colors yourself. And that's kind of a fun
That's
thing.
pretty fun. So if you have different color beads, but you want the same pattern, you can change it up. Becky's saying she's not that imaginative, so she can't make her own designs and loves having patterns.
Yes, I know.
Well, I get it. You know, sometimes it's like you just want to follow along and have someone else create a pattern that you really love. Yeah. Maria says you can also use a Post-it note to follow along on the pattern.
Yes, I've heard that before. Yeah.
Let's see. Patty is reading her patterns backwards. She works from right to left, and once she figured it out, it was okay. She was okay.
I get really confused when you're designing the pattern in software, and you can switch how it prints out. So you could actually switch if you wanted to do it from left to right or right to left, but it confuses me if I change anything else. So.
Yeah. So do you want me to go ahead and add in your other camera?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Switch cameras here.
Slide it over. Let's see. And then we'll highlight that one. Yeah, Zach is saying she was late to the party. A couple people said, oh, I came a little bit late, but there is always a replay. So once this video ends, you'll be able to watch it over and over again and fast forward and rewind and all that good stuff. So thanks for joining us, and you're never really late. You can always watch it later again.
That's so great. I'm really glad.
Oh, we need a giveaway question. That's right. Thank you, Thomas. Okay, before we get to this part here, we've been doing a giveaway every video. And so if you're here, I'm going to ask a question. You're going to have to answer it. And you you'll be entered to win the giveaway, which will be one of our mystery kits. And you have to be here at the end when we announce your name to win. What is going to be our question? What do you think, Elena? Should we ask, who here has done loom work and who is a beginner, or what? Would that be a good question?
Sounds great. Yeah.
All right. So chime in if you're watching. Are you brand new to loom work? Have you done it before or no? Let us know, and then we'll draw a winner at the end of the show. I totally would have spaced on that. Thank you, Thomas. Melissa is asking, what size seed beads are you using for the bracelet?
Okay, so actually this is interesting because we're using 2 different sizes. And okay, wait, hold on. I'm going to move my camera down here. Sorry about that. So these green ones are a little bit bigger than these. And I think, hang on 1 second. Let me just double check.
So while you're double checking, I'll just see, I've got a bunch of people chiming in. Total beginner, never tried it, only done it a few times, brand new, very interesting, only once.
Okay, so
it's fun to see. Yeah, it's new to a lot of us.
Yeah, I feel like in the beading community, bead weaving on a loom is not quite as popular. So the smaller beads are 11-0 seed beads, not Delicas. And then these larger green ones are 10-0 Delicas. So it's actually what's interesting about using different size beads is it adds a little bit of texture to the piece. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of neat how that works out. You can see, hopefully, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit there, but you can see how the green beads kind of stick out a little bit more than the other ones there.
Oh, it's so beautiful. You can really see the colors well on this demonstration. It's lovely.
I had such a hard time taking pictures of this piece to show the true colors because it really is pretty how the pinks and the purple, which are kind of fairly similar, they really look great in person, and they kind of, I don't know, it's hard to catch that in a photograph. But yeah, here, let me actually try to zoom this out a little bit. And you can see the no warp ends kit with the SoftFlex there, hopefully. And you can see that, once this is warped and the tension is on the loom, it's actually very sturdy and tight there. So I was trying to figure out, how will I weave a piece in an hour and a half? And I determined that there's no way that I could do that. I think I said that earlier. And I don't think there's any way that I can follow a pattern while trying to talk and having people watch me. So I'm not actually going to try to do that. The concept of weaving beads in what we will call the traditional method, which I'm going to be doing here, is actually very simple. Once you see me do one row, it's just the same thing, following the pattern again and again and again. So you don't need to watch me weave a million rows because that would be pretty boring. But I'm going to show you the concept of how to do that. And hopefully my hand doesn't get in the way and you can actually see what I'm doing. So what I said before is you need one more warp thread than the number of beads that you're weaving. So this piece is 13 beads wide. So we have 14 warp threads. So we have our thread here. and our needle. And this is a flex wire needle that comes with the kit. And I'm just going to pick up 13 beads. 1, 2, 3. And so you would be following the pattern in real life, but I'm just going to pick up 13 random beads. 3, 4, 5.
And for those of you that might be just joining us, we've got the warp beads, warp threads, excuse me, is the SoftFlex, and then you've got a Ceylon for your threading. Is that correct?
Yes, it's Ceylon size D, which is wonderful thread and works really well with the SoftFlex. You really want something that isn't going to fray, just because the SoftFlex is a little bit stronger than your, typical bead thread might be. So we've picked up 13 beads here on our needle. And what we're going to do is we're going to put them behind and between our warp threads, just like that. And then we're going to pull through, and now we're going to sew through the beads over the warp. So basically what we're doing is we're sewing the beads. Did I pick up one more bead than I needed to? I think I might have. This is, yep, I did. I picked up 14. This is why you have a hard time beading while you're talking. I always tell people, my biggest piece of advice, I'm trying to get this bead off. My biggest piece of advice for learning how to warp a loom is don't try to have a conversation.
It's so true. I'm notorious for miscounting on my videos for that same reason, because once you're talking, it's really hard to count at the same time.
It's amazingly hard. So then you just sew over and you pull through, and that's it. You've put your row of beads on.
So Lou is asking, do you tie the Ceylon on at the beginning?
So what I do is the first row, I start out just like that with an end here. And then when I've woven through that first row, I actually tie the very end of the Ceylon to the Ceylon that comes out. So wait, that was a little bit confusing. If we start a row here, sew back through, and then we have the end, and then we have the working end, we tie those together in a little knot and then keep weaving. And then you can see my end here. Eventually you'll sew back in this end warp thread. So you'll just sew it back into the piece.
Okay.
So that way it kind of stabilizes it. One of the things, so typically when you're weaving beads on one of our looms, we have something called warp coils, which are basically, I don't know if I have one close by. It's basically a spring that goes on the top of the loom right here. And each of those springs make a different set, which means it spaces the warp a different way. So if you're using 11 seed beads, then you want to use the 14 dent warp coil. So that coil will space your beads exactly correctly for that size bead. With this, you don't have the benefit of having the warp coil, but because the S hooks can move freely on the no warp ends kit on these bars, it will actually space your beads kind of by itself. Once you've woven in that first row and pulled tight and tied that knot that I was just talking about, it will correctly space them. So that's another kind of neat thing about the way the S hooks are freely moving there.
So the way you just kind of placed those beads behind and then they just sat there felt like magic to me. So I don't know if you could show us one more row and take another look at that.
Absolutely. Let's see if I can count correctly this time. 1, 2,
We've got quite a few more people saying that they have loomed before, or they're new to this loom, but they do loom. So we've got a few loomers. We got a few loomers in the bunch that have joined. Paula's been looming for several years, but she's been looking for a more durable, versatile loom.
Well, now that I said I lost my count.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
My fault.
Gail's dream is to win a Mirrix loom. She looms and she learned how to bead through the loose of a loom. So she started with loom beading, it sounds like, first, and then her dream is to win a Mirrix loom.
Well, follow us on social media, because we have, for the holiday season, we have a bunch of really fun things going on, and there might just be a loom giveaway.
Ooh, you heard it here first. So where are you on the interwebs? Where can everyone find you at Mirrix Looms?
So we're on, and you can always go to our website, mirrixlooms.com. We have a blog where we normally announce any big things that are going on. We also have an Instagram account that is at Mirrix Looms. And we have a Facebook page. We also have a Facebook group that is, I love our Facebook group. It's just a really neat place where people share their work and ask questions. Look at you finding all this stuff.
I know. Thomas is so good. He's in the background grabbing all your links. And I will say, we have a Facebook group too, the SoftFlex VIB Studio Facebook group. And it's just such a wonderful place to get in with a group like that, and so if you're interested in looming, or you purchase a Mirrix loom and you want to learn more, join the group, because the community aspect in those groups are just fantastic.
They really are. I haven't found something better than our Facebook group in terms of community and, just getting to know people. We did this summer weaving challenge over the summer, where we had different weaving type challenges every week, and people were posting on Instagram and on Facebook and also via email, but posting, their projects that they worked on and how, the challenges went for them. And it was just such a wonderful experience. There were so many amazing, talented people taking part, and it's just such an inspiration to kind of see what other people are doing, and especially when you're kind of feeling in a rut.
Yeah, for sure. And also, if you're totally new, so if you're a beginner, being able to see like what people are doing and making, really opens up your horizons, and it allows you to ask questions for people that have been doing it for a while. And so it's just really wonderful to get in with the community.
Absolutely. So yeah, so Instagram, Facebook are kind of our big ones. We also have a YouTube channel, which is a fun place. So I'm going to just do this one more time. Right here. Another thing, so if you were weaving a really wide piece, you wouldn't be able to kind of put all of your beads in
on your needle.
Did I miscount again? I did the same thing.
I'm laughing because it's not just me that does this. I feel your pain. People are always, my friends that watch me on my videos are always like, you're missing a spacer bead on the other side.
That's it. My husband always makes fun of me because I'm really bad at multitasking. So this is a good example of me being really bad at multitasking. But there we go. Count the correct number of beads.
Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Jamie says this is such a specialty craft, so those communities become really important. I agree.
My mom always talks about when she started tapestry weaving, I guess in like 1985, because it was around when I was born, which was then. And there weren't these same resources, there was a book or two, but you didn't have online communities, and she was living in San Francisco at the time, and she found a weaving class, but it wasn't a tapestry weaving class, and that's what she wanted to do. You know, it was really difficult to find the same community that you can now. And now it's like you have access to all these amazing people and all this instruction and events like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, that really opens it up to new loomers. Is that what you would call it? Are you a loomer?
We'll just say weavers.
A weaver, okay. Anastasia.
Looming always makes me like think of like the end of the year.
Oh, something looming. I hear you. I wasn't going there, but that I can see how that can. So weavers, I like that because it sounds like you're weaving something really special, like you're doing here. So Anastasia is asking, where can you purchase this looming from, please? So you can find it over at Mirrix Looms, and they have an amazing little. Well, I shouldn't say little, amazing big sale going on for those of you here at SoftFlex. So 20% off any Mirrix Loom for a first-time customer watching the tutorial. Use code SoftFlex at checkout, and you can find them over at mirrixlooms.com. And that doesn't last forever. So you have to use that coupon within a week here of time. So make sure to go check it out and take advantage of that really generous offer. So we've got go ahead. You go.
We also have some amazing retailers, not only in this country, but in Australia and in France and in the UK. So if you do want to see a loom in person before you buy, if you go to our website under retailers, somewhere in the menu, you can find a list of all of our stores that you can go look in.
That's a really good point. So you can take a look at it in person and really check it out. Yeah. Mary is asking, when you first start to weave, do you need to do anything different to what you are doing now?
No, not really. The only difference is what I was saying a little while ago about where you will. And by the way, this is all covered in the PDF. So the starting to weave and any little details like this, you'll find there. Oops, sorry about that. The only difference is you do your first row, and then when you've woven over that first row of beads, you'll tie a little knot there. And this is our end thread that you will eventually weave back into your piece. And when you do that, you'll want to kind of pull tightly to space your warp around your beads. So the first row of any bead weaving is the most difficult row, because once you have that first row, you could see there your beads just kind of fall into place once you have that first row in there. Oh, and that reminds me, I was saying before that I lost my thought because I miscounted my beads again. If you're weaving a wide piece, you can just, instead of putting them all of the beads behind and between the warp threads at once, you can just start in sections. So you can put all of your beads on your thread, and then you can just start over at the right, weave through, put 3 beads maybe behind your warp threads, weave through, put the next 3 behind, weave through. And so you can weave really, really large bead weavings using that method of doing chunks at a time.
So you're not limited to the size of your needle. Exactly. However, when you're working on something like this, especially for the first time, doing it the size of your needle is probably a nice way to begin, to get comfortable.
Yeah, because it's super easy to do it that way. The needle keeps everything straight and so through.
Let me go ahead and add our faces back in here for a second, and then we can. We've got a couple more questions. So let's see. Jamie is asking, do you recommend any certain size for a beginner?
So not necessarily. It really depends on what size pieces that you want to make. All of our looms are the same ease of use. I might not recommend the 48-inch loom You've never woven.
Just starting. Some people want to go big or go home.
It's true. It's true. Some people are like, you know what? Because the nice thing about a big loom is that you can always weave a smaller piece on a bigger loom. So it's really tempting to say, I want to get the biggest one and I could weave bracelets on it, or I could weave giant pieces on it. But it's kind of, it feels like you're wasting warp, and it's a little bit silly to,
have all of that height if you don't even need it. Yeah.
Our most popular loom is our 16-inch big sister loom, which is 16 inches wide with a 13-inch weaving width. It's, the middle size loom. For bead weaving, for just bead weaving, this 8-inch loom is also very, very popular. It's nice because, I don't know how much scale, here. I don't know if you noticed this.
I did see that's our customer appreciation mug from last year.
My daughter, so I keep my pens in the office. There's me. And my daughter, every time she comes in here, she points to it and says, "Mama!" Like I'm the most famous person in the world because I'm on a mug. I'm like,
you're on a cup. She can't believe it. That's so cute.
But just kind of to give you an idea of scale, if this is a mug compared to the loom, it's super, super portable.
Awesome.
You can throw it in a tote bag. And again, I like the portable looms. So I would say if you're doing just bead weaving, the 8 or the 12-inch loom is a really great option. If you are interested in tapestry too, the 16 or the 22-inch loom are good looms for beginning. You can also do so if you wanted to weave like 2 thin bracelets at the same time on this loom. You could do 2 thin bracelets, but if you have a 12-inch loom, you could weave like 3 bracelets at the same time, side by side on it. So
I didn't even think of that. That's a very good point. So if you want to do stuff a little more in quantity, getting a little bit larger of a loom will give you the width that you need to do a couple more at a time.
Yeah, and that's fun if you're, I tend to want to do a million things at the same time. I'll be like, I have 3 bracelet ideas and I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this. And it's kind of fun to work on.
To have them all going.
If you don't have multiple looms.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm gonna, you gave me a great little segue. So I'm just gonna talk a second about our swag bag. So we've got, Elena showed you our Customer Appreciation Week mug. Well, we have a Customer Appreciation Week swag bag this year. And she also talked about how you can stick the little 8-inch one in a tote bag. And lo and behold, you'll have a perfect little beading tote bag right here. So this is a great recyclable, reusable, sustainable bag that unfolds out of that little ball. It says creating joy, 1 bead at a time. And you can easily throw your loom in here as well as a bunch of other stuff. And then you just kind of roll it up like you would when you're folding a sock. When you're done and you want to stick it in your purse or your bag and have it on the go at any time, and it rolls back up. How cute is that? And you don't just get the bag, you're going to get some mystery treats in here from all of our presenters, or most of our presenters will have some sort of coupon or an item or some stuff from SoftFlex company. We're not going to tell you what they are. They're going to be mystery treats, but grab your swag bag. They are limited supply. And thank you for the little segue.
That bag is adorable. I like how small it gets.
I know, it's so cute. I've been calling it a little bead ball because I'm like, it's like having a little bead in your bag. But it's super, and I love how light it is. The material is kind of like, I've been saying kind of like a windbreaker-ish material. So it's super light, but but feels really durable and like water resistant and all of that stuff too. So it's really nice. It's made from a woman-owned business in the Bay Area, and that's really cool too, to be able to support women-owned businesses like many of ours today, including Mirrix Looms.
Yes, yeah, we are almost entirely a woman-run company too.
That's really cool.
Which, yeah, I mean, manufacturing, because that we're a manufacturing company. There are not a lot of women-owned, women-run manufacturing companies. So it's neat. I like that.
It is. Totally. I mean, it's important to support all those ladies out there. Lisa says she has the 16-inch and she just loves it. For the cost of the loom, she finds that the 16-inch to be so versatile as she uses it for tapestry and bead weaving. Very true. I think I've got another question in here. Wanda is asking, what's the best way to learn about looms and get started as a complete beginner? Do you guys have like a start here kind of?
We do, yeah. We have, so, I mean, we've had a website since like the very beginning, and we have been compiling tutorials and blog posts and videos and PDFs and resources since then. It's funny, I go back sometimes and I look at stuff and I'm like, wow, we had low quality cameras back then.
Yeah. The information's still good, but yes, the camera quality.
Yeah, seriously. But our website is a great place to start. We have when you buy a loom, you get access to our Get Started online course. We have a page on our website called Resources, and we have, laid out just so much information. And we have a lot of, like this tutorial, this PDF is available for free. We have a lot of free projects that you can download. And I find that's a really great way to get started because it brings you from warping the loom, from opening up the box, setting your loom on a table to finishing. And even if you're somebody who, doesn't like following patterns or, wants to do your own stuff, I find that's really helpful, just because it's a complete teaching experience,
Yeah. I love that you get the course that you said when you buy a loom, you get something that kind of helps you get started.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And, we try really hard to give people as much information as we possibly can. And hopefully we do a good job of that. And stuff like this is a really great way to, this will be available, right? And people can come watch this and learn more details, because there's always more to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have a maximum width piece for the 8-inch loom suggestion from Mary Ann? What is the maximum width piece?
5 inches. You can weave
5 inches.
Yeah. So yeah. I think this is a tapestry. Oh, this might be a little bit wider. I think this might be 6 inches. But so you can even weave something similar. This is a little purse. I think it's about 6 inches. So it's a little bit too big. But you could weave something like similar to this on the 5-inch loom. So on the 8-inch loom. So it's pretty versatile.
Do you have any other projects laying around that you can share? Because Lynn is wondering what projects can be done with the different sized looms. I bet you they have some photos and stuff on their website that'll show you what you can create with certain looms.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, pretty much any loom can make any different project. Again, you might not want to make a little beaded bracelet on the 38-inch loom, but all of our looms, except for our saffron pocket loom, which is the loom that I totally forgot about in the beginning, which is a portable tapestry loom that's very small. All of our other looms are meant to weave beads or tapestry. And you can combine beads and tapestry. So, this was a weave along called the Prism Tapestry that we that we did recently. So, you can make little tapestry wall hangings like this.
Well, that's so pretty.
Here's a eyeglass case. Things like here's just a little beaded.
Oh, that's lovely.
What else do I have in my?
I do love Loom. I love the look of Loom projects. They just, they have such a real finished, elegant look to them. And it's really fun to see all the different things that you can make and how you can incorporate beads on their own, beads with the threads, or just do tapestry work. So many options.
Yeah, combining beads and fiber. Trying to figure out how to make that work. Combining beads and fiber is really fun, and so there's another option on our looms. So you saw the no warp ends kit that we were using here, but we have the option to use a shedding device on our looms, which is primarily for tapestry weaving. And what that does is it lifts up half of your warp threads at a time. So instead of sewing through the warp threads, you can actually just bring your warp through these raised and not raised warp threads. So it makes weaving a lot faster. You can actually do that with beads too. And it makes combining beads and fiber really easy. So you could learn more.
Oh my gosh.
Running out of time.
I know. Melissa's saying for a beaded, I had to put this one up here because I have no idea what you're talking about. What is a beaded banner? For a beaded banner, what size loom would you recommend? The largest size? Do you mean like a banner? Like what, like a very, is there, yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. I was like,
our looms can have a much, like I was saying this before, but the width is always smaller than the weaving length. So if you wanted to do something like a banner, you could weave it on its side. And so you could make it, I think 26 inches long on the 8-inch loom and 5 inches wide. So you could actually.
Okay. She was saying like a beaded picture, a 12 by 12 inch.
So for a 12 by 12, the 16-inch loom can make a piece 13 inches wide. So I would recommend the 16-inch loom for that. We have a place on our website called Get Help Choosing a Loom. And you can actually fill out a form that says, how important is portability to you? What's the widest piece you might want to use? And so people can fill out that form, and then we will give them a personalized loom recommendation based on that.
How wonderful is that? So you can put in exactly what you plan to use it for, what kinds of things you were thinking about using your loom for, and they will give you suggestions. How cool. You guys thought of everything. I love it.
I mean, in 26 years, we've had a lot of time.
We've had a lot of time to think about it. So it looks like Thomas has a winner for us. So as we're wrapping up here, thank you all for playing along and telling us if you beaded on a loom before or not. And we got quite a mixed crowd, it looked like, from all of the comments. So giveaway winner is Katie. Katie, are you here? Because you have to be here to win your prize. So I'll give you a minute here to say she's here. Oh, she is. Katie is here. Congratulations. So Katie, just send us a message over at info@softflexcompany.com so we can get your shipping information, and we will send you a Peace and Love mystery design kit. If you already have that kit, we can always send you the Spider Queen or send you a future kit. So just let us know and send us an email. So fun. Elena, thanks so much for being here with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, well, I had a little bit. I was like, there's no way I can spend an hour and a half doing this, but it's easy. I just wanted to show.
It's easy.
So just to finish this piece, and again, it's in the PDF, but you just weave all the way up to the top, and then you just loosen your tension, take the piece off the loom, and then we have these great bead slide clasps where you just So this is, let's see how well I can show.
That's the side that's no clasp on it yet.
Yeah, I haven't put so you can see the little loops. I don't know how well you can see that. So this is the side with no warp ends in it. And then, so this is how this comes off the loom. And then you take the clasp, open it up, and then just slide that on. And then you use pliers to, push this all together, and that's it.
So you just squeeze it. You just squeeze it down.
Squeeze it together, and then squeeze the little ends down.
Oh
and that's
my God.
it. It's
so simple.
Super easy. And finishing is my least favorite part. So this is perfect.
And then that's just a slide clasp. Is that right? They just slide together the ends.
Yeah. So it's like this, which I really love because I can even
so pretty.
I can even take this on and off my own wrist, which I can't always say I can do depending on the clasp type.
Sarah says, wow. Are you saying for how simple and easy that is to just finish that off? I know. Yeah, finishing is not always the most favorite of a lot of people to do. And so it's really nice to have something that finishes off so easily and cleanly and looks elegant and simple to put on and off. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, this has been such a treat. I learned so much. And I just can't wait to get my hands on a loom and to do some looming work in the future, because it just really, I love how you can set it up. You can walk away. It's all there waiting for you patiently for you to return. And you could just kind of pick up where you left off really easily. I think that's really fun. And
great point. Especially as a new mom, there is nothing better than being able to stop in the middle of something.
And come right back to it. And you really, other than the loom itself and a few of your beads, there's not a lot of materials and stuff set up, and you don't need a large space. It's very portable and easy to bring with you places. Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you try it.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, thanks everyone for being here with us for our Mirrix Looms presentation. This was I'm going to just, I'm going to put up this on the big screen here again, just for a second for everyone to see how that project is coming along. Cause it's just so pretty. I think the colors are just gorgeous. And you did a wonderful job putting that project together for all of us here at SoftFlex Company. We love it. We thank you. And if you have never heard of Mirrix Looms before, let's come up close to you again.
I don't know why I didn't put it on my wrist before.
Yeah, you can really see it.
And how the shape holds.
That way, perfect. I love it. It's so pretty.
New favorite piece of jewelry. Sorry, I interrupted to do that.
Be sure to check them out at mirrixlooms.com, and then also check us out at softflexcompany.com. We loaded up a ton of new products this morning. We were running around like there was a fire happening and I think we loaded over 40 new items. So we've got Tiara Cast and Jesse James beads and a new quad and all sorts of good stuff. So be sure to check us out. We've got a special going on. If you spend over $65 or more, you will get a free bead strand with your order. And that just started today. That'll be good until next Tuesday or while supplies last. And Mirrix Looms has a coupon going on as well, so you don't want to miss that. They've got 20% off for any for first-time customers who watch the tutorial. Use code SoftFlex at checkout, and you can find them at mirrixlooms.com pages/SoftFlex. I'm guessing that's where you have that deal mentioned. Is that on that particular page?
Yes. Yeah, so you can find all the details of that on there.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Thanks again. And we'll see you
for having me. This was really fun. Fun to talk to you all.
It was really fun. It was so much fun. And then we'll be back in 30 minutes with another video with Sarah. So stay tuned for that. Sarah will be back working with our customer appreciation mystery design kit at 3 p.m. Pacific time. All right. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.